And down goes the Gophers. Wolverines dominate 49-24. Joe Milton's debut, 15 for 22, 225 yards and a tutter, 8 carries, 52 yards and a touchdown. For not having a spring practice and not having very much time to prepare as a starter, I'm tickled pink by the performance. The guy looks confident. He's got the arm strength, the accuracy, his decision-making was great. You can tell his team respects him because he works hard, and that's what you want in a quarterback. And he gets the balls to the receivers super quick. For example, that Ronnie Bell bubble screen, beginning of the game, got it to him. There's great blocking outside, and he takes a 5-yard gain into 30 or whatever it was, and that's what happens when you can zing the ball like Joe Milton can. And Gaddis called a great game. Milton executed, and Minnesota pretty much had no chance in the game once they started to get rolling. It was a little shaky. The first drive we had a penalty with Ben Mason. It was kind of irritating, but it was also kind of sweet at the same time because, he's setting the tone for the game. And, he's blocking that guy into the 8th row. I'd like to see the replay again in actual time and kind of see, when the whistle was blown because, it wasn't like he took him to the ground, threw him to the ground, and he just drove him out of bounds. That's just football to me, but, it is what it is. So we're going to see Michigan put up some points this year, folks, and it's very exciting. We don't have to hold our breath when the quarterback drops back to pass like we did the last couple years. I'm pretty confident that, in Milton's decision-making, and it's fun to watch. I didn't want the game to stop. I wanted to see him throw the ball more, but, it is what it is. I'll take the W. We dominated. I'm pretty happy with that. And, I got to credit Ed Warner. He's got this young offensive line. They blocked great all game long. And I knew he was going to have those guys ready because he's the man. I know I mentioned that the last podcast, but he really is a great coach. And he's one hell of a guy as well. He only gave up 1 sack. And you could say it was Joe Milton's fault, really. Didn't really step up into the pocket. He decided to roll out left, and the guy ended up catching him. You notice with Milton, it takes a little bit to get going, but when he gets going, he's pretty fast. So, it was fun to watch. And, run blocking was great. Pass blocking was great. They had a little bit of the old school feel with Ben Mason in there. I'm glad that he's playing offense again. We got to see a healthy dose of him. He made a lot of critical blocks, especially on that Charbonnet 70-yard touchdown. They put him out wide, kind of got Minnesota all confused. They motioned him into the backfield, and he had a critical block, and then Charbonnet just took it to the crib. And so I'm glad that Ben Mason is playing. He's like the epitome of a football player. He just lives and breathes it. And, he could play that old school football, like back in the day, super physical. That's the type of guy he is. And I know he's a great leader on the team. I know he gave a pregame speech before the game and, pretty much said, this is our team. This is Joe's team. And, let's run it. We're going to protect Joe Milton at all costs. And they did. They did just that. So it's a good start to the season for the offensive line because what did we lose? 4 guys to the NFL last year? So, could have potentially been all 5 of them really if Jalen Mayfield went out. So it's looking good. And Ben Mason also got that 8-yard touchdown as well. Forgot about that for a second there. Did a little flip into the end zone once he got chopped by his legs. It just shows you he's fun dude, man. He's a fun guy to watch. The rest of the running backs, they played pretty damn well. They didn't get a lot of carries, though. It was kind of a weird game, so I feel like Not a lot of people got the ball. But it felt like a long game, at least to me. Haskins had 6 carries. I'm sorry, he had the most out of all the backs. 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. Came out of the Wildcat, and he runs good, man. He runs hard, and he's got a little different style running. He's kind of upright, but he'll lay the lick down on you if you're trying to tackle him. Charbonnet had 5 carries, 70 yards, and that touchdown, it was a 70-yarder, so he had a couple of tackles behind the line of scrimmage there, but it is what it is. That's football when you're running the ball. Evans had 5 carries and a touchdown, and welcome back to him. He had a pretty decent game besides the fumble. He's kind of always had fumbling problems, but I don't know how he even got that one back because it was down by his butt, and somehow it rolled back up to him. So we were lucky on that because it was kind of a critical play in the game, and normally we don't really catch those breaks, so that was good to see. And then we also had Corum. Corum played a little bit there. He got the ball the first snap of the game on a little swing pass. He looks quick. He looks pretty vicious out there. I like it. They were comparing him to J.K. Dobbins, which are, that's a big comparison, but I can kind of see where they're coming from. But, we'll see. Let's pump the brakes on that until we see him a little more. But I do think he's got a lot of potential, and I'm starting to buy into the hype once we start to see him a little more. He does got some really good speed on him, I'll tell you that. So, the backfield, they spread it around a lot. Maybe in a couple other games, this year moving forward, they might go with the hot hand, or, it's good to see them use all those weapons too, because you throw off tendencies, and it'll be harder for teams to game plan for you. Not only did the running backs play a lot of different players, a lot of receivers played as well. I just want to compliment those guys first before we get into the fancy stats and stuff, because these guys were blocking on the outside so well for each other, the running backs for Joe Milton, and a lot of that is just effort. And you see that in this football team right now. It's a lot of effort. Especially, the wideout position blocking. It was like Ronnie Bell had a really big block. I forget exactly which play it was, but he made a critical block, and it helped pick up the first down. And, you don't see that. That takes you from, this level to the next level for an offense as a whole. And it's just critical to do. Sometimes it takes a first down to a touchdown, a long touchdown. And, we're going to need some long touchdowns. Bust off some big plays, which they kind of did. So, but anyway, Ronnie Bell led the way. 4 receptions, 74 yards. Almost got into the end zone a couple times. You guys remember last year, he would almost get to the end zone and just get tackled, trip up or something. So, he's starting off that way right now, but, he'll get rolling. Roman Wilson, the guy from Hawaii, he played a lot of snaps, freshman, 2 receptions, 34 yards. Eric All, I know he's a tight end, but we'll throw him in here. 2 receptions, 33 yards. Had a big drop, though, during the game. Milton hit him when he was wide open over the seam route there, and no one was around. It was a touchdown. He dropped it, but, he made up for it a couple plays later. He made a couple of nice snags and a couple of good runs, and he's a hell of a blocker, too, for... I know he gained quite a few pounds over the off season now to help with his blocking, because he's more known as a receiving tight end. But it's good to see. He was balling out, and Eubanks was out, so he stepped up in a big way. And I'm not sure what the injury is with Eubanks, and I'm not sure if he's coming back next week or not. We don't really know too much about it. Giles Jackson got in there. He got a few sweeps. 2 receptions, 17 yards. A.J. Henning, we've seen him. A few sweeps, 1 reception, 14 yards. Sandersill had a nice catch on the sideline that Joe Milton just rocketed to him. And it almost looked like, I know he jumped, but it almost looked like the ball lifted him off his feet. Almost just picked him up off the ground. That's how hot it was coming in, but it was a great catch for a first down. And so the receiving corps is looking good. A few people dropped the ball, but we got to especially against Ohio State, the game that we all care about, that we need to win this year. You have to catch the ball. That's what matters. Keep those chains moving, score touchdowns when you can. So, it was exciting to see Gaddis using all these weapons, and we have a lot of young talent that could really be utilized and make an impact on the football field. The second year for Gaddis is off to a great start. Even with a short off season with COVID and changing quarterbacks, changing line, losing a lot of wideouts. It's very impressive to see. And, whoever would hate on Gaddis, you can't even hate on the guy no more after that performance. I know Minnesota had lost a lot of guys to the draft, I believe, or, seniors. But they do have a lot of guys that played a lot of snaps last year as well. So, it is what it is. So hats off to Gaddis. He called a hell of a game, and Milton executed. So it's fun to see. Like I said, you're not holding your breath when you're watching the offense and then hoping the defense can stop them. You just need the defense to get the ball back or to stop them, and then we're going for it. We're going for those tutters, baby. And it's very, very exciting. I know it's only one game, but rolling into our rival, Michigan State, tomorrow at noon on Halloween, it's, be prepared to have your bragging rights, Michigan fans, because we should really put the hurting on them. At least I hope so. But, the defense in that Minnesota game, they can tighten up a bit. I think Don Brown will have those guys ready. They kind of got gashed in the run game quite a bit, but, they were kind of cutting back. They made some nice cuts, too. I think their running back was pretty decent. And I thought they got away with some holding calls, but, that is what it is. Sometimes you're going to get the call, sometimes you're not, which is fine. But, they tackled well. They swarmed. And, a lot of guys stepped up. We got a touchdown on defense. Michael Barrett, has a picture-perfect sack, head on the ball. Just absolutely crushes Tanner Morgan. Fumble. Pops up into the air. Donovan Jeter catches it like it was made to do it. And just the big man gets a touchdown. So that was a big play in the game because it kind of just momentum swing, and we needed something to get us going after a little bit of a sloppy start there, and it kind of just broke the game open. And Barrett had a hell of a game on defense, and he had some big plays on special teams as well. And that was one of the question marks going in to the season on the defensive side, like who's going to fill that Viper position. And man, Michael Barrett, so far so good. He looked really, really good. He tackled good. It's pretty exciting because that was the one spot that I was worried about. And, he sure showed up in a big way on the game one. So, and then, with 5 sacks total. Barrett had 1 on that play right there that I just talked about. Pay had a hell of a game. He had 2 sacks. The dude's just an animal. And I'm so happy that he came back because his draft stock's going to go up too. It might be a little undersized maybe, but, he's got a heart of a champion and he just goes hard. You just watch him every play. This dude never quits. Carlos Kemp had a sack. Cam McGrone and Weshoff had half a sack each, who both had pretty good games as well. So did Carlos Kemp. He made some disruptive plays there in some of the run games, and that's good to see. I'm glad that he was back as well. The front seven just needs to tighten up a little bit in the run game, but sometimes I think if you have an aggressive defense, you're just flowing, they can get that little cutback lane, and sometimes it just kills you. But even the secondary tackled well, so hopefully those guys can get in there and make the tackle on the running back when he cuts back. But we are going to have to be aware of these things, especially against Ohio State, 'cause they're always very good at cutting back, and they call plays that kind of counter. So, but we got a ways to go until that game in December at the end of the year. So, they'll work on it. Secondary did well for being so young as well. they didn't give up very many big plays, and they kept Bateman in check. I know the stat line kind of tells a different story. He had 9 receptions for 101 yards, but there was no significant plays. He didn't break any huge plays that were just demoralized the defense. So, hats off to those young guys. Jermon Green played pretty well, and we needed him to step up for sure. And Vincent Gray played pretty well as well, and Dax Hill, he played good. He didn't really have a lot of stats. The stat lines aren't going to show it, but you watch the guy's talent. I believe he was the one that he had a pass interference called on him. The guy ran a double move, kind of like a post corner, and just watch his hips on that play, because he turns around, flips his hips, turns around, locates the ball, and is just right on that guy's hip right away. And maybe the basic fans don't really get what I'm talking about, but if you're a football guy, you just see it and you're like, wow, it's amazing just watching him. And he's going to be good. He's going to be great, actually. And he did scratch his eye in the game at some point. I guess I didn't even really notice that he wasn't out there for a while till after the game. And he should be good to go this week against MSU, but we'll see. And no disrespect to Sparty, but, we might not even need him. It is what it is, though. And so overall, the defense played great. Like I said, they tackled good. They swarmed the ball, and my number one thing, they seemed really, really pumped up, which I love to see a defense that's pumped up. And, McGrone, Aiden Hutchinson, Pay, all those guys just get geeked, and, that's kind of what defense is. You're feeding off each other's energy, and everybody's doing their job. You do your job correctly, and Don Brown calls the right plays. The defense is going to be tough to score on, and, it was. So, and that's, like I said last week, if the defense can be pretty damn good, maybe not as good as they were, in years past, where we had a super, super deep defensive line, and we had all these good corners that play in the NFL, and safeties, but they just need to be good enough, and you can be aggressive, especially if the offense is scoring. And that was the prime example right there. You were scoring a lot of points, and they got to play catch up. We can let the hounds loose on the defensive line to really get after the quarterback, and it seemed to work out just well. So I'm really, really pumped about that. But the one thing that does concern me, though, is the special teams. We had a blocked punt on the first drive, which was not a great start. I was getting pretty worried. And they ended up scoring off that as well. Not off the blocked punt, but just, play later. And then the field goals. We missed 3 field goals. A couple were very makeable. And Jake Moody was 0 for 3. And I know one of them, the snap was kind of bad, which I know this doesn't make the headlines, but our original long snapper, Cheeseman, had opted out for this season due to COVID. And, sometimes you take those long snappers for granted, and, it can result in missed field goals, or, let's say blocked punts, anything to do with the long snapper. And, we just got to tighten that up, which I think they will, but sometimes it just worries me, with special teams, because a lot of people don't really work on them as much. But, they also stuffed that fake punt that Minnesota did, and I noticed that we had a lot of running backs. Like, Haskins made the tackle on it, but Blake Corum was out there, and I want to say Charbonnet was out there as well, which I find it odd that all those guys are there, but maybe they knew the fake punt was coming, and they just kind of, got some speed out there. And Haskins did put a lick on the old fullback, I think it was, for their team, the dude with long blonde hair. And, yeah, because he used to play linebacker back in high school, so he just kind of came up there and crunched him. And, that kind of swung the game, and it was kind of a desperate attempt by P.J. Fleck to kind of get back into the game. And I knew once we stuffed him on that, the game was over. Then Joe Milton goes and puts up some more points. So So that was awesome. And I don't know what's up with Nordin. They said he was hurt on Saturday. I was expecting to see him, especially after Moody had missed those two. And I don't like that they keep having this competition between Moody and Nordin, but we just got to get figured out. We need something more consistent instead of, both of them are very inconsistent, and sometimes it screws us in games, and we just need to get that figured out, because leaving 9 points off the board, against Ohio State, which you probably need to score touchdowns against Ohio State, but still, if it's a dogfight, and you'll take any points that you can get, because it's a lot of points, 9 points, and so it is what it is. But we got to tighten that up, and we're going to be a very tough team to beat once we do that. And so overall, performance on Saturday was good. It was critical that Michigan gets off to a hot start. I thought Jim coached a good game, but it almost seemed like he just kind of let Gaddis do his thing and Don Brown do his thing, and it worked out. He seemed very relaxed, even though, I like to see that pumped up, geeked up Jimmy. I think that Jimbo's dead. He's just a cool, calm, collected guy. His fashion attire was pretty funny with the mask. It was just pretty much a sleeve with the ears cut out. He kind of looked like the Invisible Man out there. He decided to get rid of the khakis as well. He's wearing blue pants, which isn't a big deal, but, the media makes fun of him and whatnot. So, new look for Jimmy, new team, new start. Maybe he's rebirthed, Maybe this is the year that we, run the table, get to Ohio State, and maybe we beat them. That'd be sweet. But, we're going to have to do those. Big win in the prime time, though. So, and, we scored points. Defense played good and aggressive. So, that's what we like to see, and hopefully they continue. So, this week, moving forward, we got Sparty. We need to, Melly Mel Tucker. He got welcomed to the big house last week, losing to Rutgers. So that's pretty bad after, Rutgers is one of the worst football programs in all the country. I know Greg Schiano's a good coach, but, he just got there this year. So that kind of sucks, but for them at least. They had 7 turnovers. I believe they actually could have had more. I think they fumbled the ball a few times, but they ended up getting the ball back. So, you're talking almost double-digit turnovers. No football teams winning a game like that. And so I'm looking to see some more turnovers this weekend from the Michigan defense. And, I didn't really watch much of the state game. I just kind of watched a little bit, seen some stats, but from what I've seen, they look pretty small. I don't really know too many people on their team besides Rocky Lombardi. And I don't know, man. I think Dale D'Antoni, he didn't really leave him, he didn't really leave him much talent. Kind of left the program in bad shape when he left there. And, you hear rumors that they were, he was mad at the program. Just kind of petty stuff that, whatever. I'm not worried about their stuff. I just know that he left it in bad shape, and, hey, we'll reap the benefits for it. Not our problem. So, and, it's got to be pretty tough for even the new coach there to, come in during COVID times. But, it is what it is. That sucks. But, let's just take advantage of it. Set the tone for the series with Mel Tucker now. Let's, Rutgers invited him into the Big Ten. Now let's give him the old Wolverine welcome and just put a thumping on him. I believe they're getting 23.5 points tomorrow. And I know the over-under is probably, I think it's around like 50, which is an interesting. I believe Michigan can put up that many points, but I don't know. Maybe. I hope they do. I hope they take them to Pound Town, So I'm expecting the things to get pretty spooky for MSU, and I think Rocky Lombardi's in for a very long game against our defense. So expect some turnovers as well. And you know. But it's very exciting. Yeah, but I do kind of expect them to maybe put up a fight in the first half there to, it is a rivalry game, and, Michigan State will play with a chip on their shoulder, and I hope our guys do as well. They seem to be pretty pumped up for it, even the last couple of years, especially with the tides turning, we're starting to win the game, and so we'll expect it to be a close game in the first half, and then I think Michigan, Joe Milton at the quarterback position just goes off second half. So my prediction of the game, 52-14, Michigan, of course. So leave your predictions in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Happy Halloween. And go blue. I'm out. Peace.